All week long, I've been telling you that the 49ers only have one path to victory and that the Eagles have the advantage at a bunch of positions. Today, I'm past all that. I'm going positive all the way, and I don't care if Michelle poo-poos it. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast, part of the Pro Football Insiders. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. She is Michelle Majuk. We are here on a wild card weekend Friday, Michelle, days away from the game. How you feeling?
I'm not feeling great. I'll say that. And I'm not going to poo-poo on you.
Hold on. I need you to give me a hey, because I was told by one of the commenters, when we don't get a hey from Michelle, we lose.
Hey, and I'm even drinking my mimosa to make sure we win, even though it's 9:45 in the morning. You really don't have to twist my arm that hard. I did just roll out of bed about a half hour ago. This game, I think, is a true coin flip. Weather will depend on a lot of how I feel going into this game. And right now, the latest I saw, the weather's not supposed to be great.
You did? Okay, because I saw that it was not going to be an issue. What have you seen?
I looked a couple days ago, so I have not looked recently, but I saw snow and wind and bad weather.
Interesting. Okay, right now it looks like it's going to be 44 and clear.
Okay.
Hopefully.
I had a 90% chance of snow on Saturday and then 85% on Sundays with the last time I looked, so it changed drastically.
CT Niner fan, YouTube channel member says, love having Fridays off. I get to actually catch a live show. We made it to the Bears game. It was incredible. Hopefully they can pull off another win this Sunday. Love you guys. Keep up the great work. I feel like I'm realistic when it comes to the 49ers. And I have been telling you essentially like, yeah, the Eagles are the better team, but anything can happen in the playoffs. And that's the kind of hope that we need to have for this game. But you know what? I want to be positive today. I want to just ride the wave. I fully admit I'm going to put on my Homer glasses. I'll put on the 49ers colored glasses and just talk myself into it today on the show. I'm going to do it, and you're going to poo-poo it. I know you're going to poo-poo it. That's fine. That's what you do. You're a poo-pooer. But
I don't think I'm going to poo-poo it, and I don't actually think the Eagles are the better team necessarily. Yeah, they have better pieces on defense, but they've been a mess this year too. It's not like they've been dominant, and this could be totally like their 2023 year where they go into the playoffs and just kind of roll over. They've been going for a long time now. They won the Super Bowl. They could be exhausted. Like, it's more about being in Philadelphia. Also, Trent Williams being there or not is huge. We have a comment saying it comes down to Pearsall playing or not. I think it comes down to Trent Williams playing or not. Do you know this team is 1-9 since 2023 when Trent Williams doesn't play?
I didn't know that, although I am always a little skeptical of those stats because, like, who else didn't play in those 10 games, right? Like, yes, Trent was out, but don't assume that means everybody else was healthy.
1-9, though. 1-9.
He's a massive piece, and he was back at practice yesterday in a limited fashion, and he's an important piece because the Niners want to run outside zone. That's what they do, and they need Trent Williams to be able to do it. And the Eagles give up almost 5 yards per carry against outside zone. So the Niners being able to get gains on the ground, if they can sustain a rushing attack that's legitimate and that is helping churn the ball down the field, changes everything for the offensive outlook, because I am worried about how difficult it's going to be for Brock Purdy against this Fangio defense and the secondary of the Eagles. But if they can run, they can move the ball that way. They can stay out of 3rd and long. They can use play action more effectively. So the health of Trent and how much he's able to actually give them could be a massive factor in who wins the game.
Yeah, especially because they're getting Jalen Carter back, it looks like. So he's going to be right there clogging up the middle. Their run game, their run defense is so much better when Carter's out there. So if he's in the middle, they're not really going to be able to run up the middle much. So they need Trent Williams here to be out the block, to run on the outside. And I don't know if this is like a game you put in a speedier guy. Like, is Guerrero even ever active?
Guerrero has not touched the ball a single time on offense this year.
Yeah, it's like Brian Robinson Jr. and CMC just don't offer that like breakaway speed. They don't have that. And you would love that ability to have a guy that could break one off in this type of game, because that could be the difference. I don't think they're going to give Guerrero his first carry in the playoffs, but maybe.
They absolutely are not. I would not don't count on the 49ers to do things differently to Sunday than they have all year. I know people are saying play Jordan Watkins, play Jacob Cowing because they opened his practice. They're not doing any of that. They're going to be who they are.
What I think is ridiculous that Jake Tonjes didn't play at all last week.
I mean, well, he was active, but yeah, he didn't. I just think that they really could use the speed, like you talked about in a game like this, right? Having somebody with the ability to break off a 70-yard play is massive. The Eagles have 3 guys that could do it: Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, and Saquon Barkley. 49ers have 1, maybe, in George Kittle, and he's got a bum ankle. So, that's really hurting their ability to do that. And they haven't really done that all year. And it's been something that they have missed. And Guerrero is a guy that at least, first of all, he's got to be fresh. Be fresh, right? But in a weird way, I think the person most likely to do that is Sky Moore and on a return. And I think, honestly, that's a huge factor in the game. The special teams, can he break one? Or if he can't even break one, can he just set the Niners up with shorter fields on a return? Can he get out to the 35, 40-yard line so that the offense doesn't have to go 18 plays down the field? He's done a really good job of that this year. The Niners, I think, are second in the league in terms of average starting field position, and he's going to need to keep that up on Sunday.
He is. Now, let me ask you, because I think we're both most scared of this game, right? I think overall the offense, we would say the offense can keep up with the Eagles offense, right? Overall. But how scared are we of the 49ers defense compared to the Eagles defense, right? The Eagles defense has been very, very good. Obviously, 49ers has not. I mean, even though we keep saying that, they only allowed 13 points to Seahawks last week.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that was not on the defense. But are you more scared of Saquon going off or AJ Brown?
Saquon, only because the Eagles kind of shoot themselves in the foot with the passing game. Like when you've had 2 games this year where you haven't completed a pass in the second half, that's a you problem. That's not a defense you're facing problem. And so the chances are greater that they have passing issues than they have rushing issues. All they got to do to Saquon, just hand it off, and he's going to have success, I think, because the Niners don't set the edge and they don't tackle. And those are kind of important in stopping the run.
Yeah, and Barkley has been much more efficient as of late. Over his last 4 games, averaging 4.9 yards per carry, 100 yards per game. They're feeding him the ball more. The first 13 weeks of the season, his efficiency was terrible at 3.7 yards. He wasn't getting much work, but so he's starting to click and get going again. And I mean, the Seahawks were able to run over the 49ers whenever they wanted to.
When? Oh, the Seahawks. I'm sorry. Yeah, no. You said Seahawks. I was thinking Eagles for some reason. No, it was bad. Now look, the Eagles lead the league in 3 and outs, so their offense can have issues, and I really think the Niners can go out, get a score early, stop them, and get the ball back with a chance to go up 2 scores. And if they do that, all bets are off, because then you play the game on your terms. And we've seen the Niners do that in a lot of games this year, especially a lot of the games where maybe we thought they didn't really have a chance to win. That's the best way to do it. And then you put the pressure on the Eagles. And then it's, oh God, we got to get something going offensively. Here we go again with the offense. Now maybe they don't hand off to Saquon Barkley as much because they feel more pressure to pass. That is really the game script that the 49ers want to live in. And then who knows? Maybe you get up 2 scores and then the Eagles put the ball on the ground and you recover. Like all those things are magnified. Or the Eagles are going to go down and try and score. And guess what? Elliott misses a field goal, which he's been brutal this year. He's made only 74% of his kicks. And then you get the ball back in excellent field position. Because remember, when you miss a field goal, you get the ball back at the spot of the hold, not the line of scrimmage. That could set the 49ers up for a short field. So there are ways this game can go that favor the Niners.
Definitely. I mean, this Eagles offense is not one that has been scary. Now, do they have the pieces to be great? Yes. But clearly there's something wrong. And I think it's the play calling, or maybe it's a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. I don't know. But they do rank bottom 3 among all playoff teams this year in points per game scored, total yards per game, passing yards per game. And like you said, they're the worst in the league at 3 and punt percentage, where it's 3 plays and they got to punt. They do it 28% of their offensive drives this year. If the 49ers can just keep them to their averages, they shouldn't have any problems in this game. I'm not asking them to be dominant. Just keep them to their averages. And those averages are pretty poor. And if they score, their average of 22 points per game, okay, offense, do your thing. Put up 20, put up 23. That's all we're asking for.
The Niners have averaged around 28 points a game with Brock Purdy in the playoffs. So hopefully they can get back there. But regarding the Eagles offense, like, there's weirdness going on there. And an example of this is, I don't know if you saw this. I just saw this today. Jalen Hurts was asked whether the lack of designed runs for him this season has kept him healthy. Let me zoom in on this so we can actually read it. And his answer was, quote, "No, I think the season's just kind of gone the way it has. The approach this year and how the games have been called with this coordinator, it's just kind of gone that way. And so I've just kind of taken it in stride and tried to give my best with whatever position I've been put in." That to me does not sound like everybody's pulling in the same direction. It does not sound like Jalen Hurts is thrilled with his own offensive coordinator in Kevin Patullo there. And I talked about this earlier this week. Everybody with the Niners, for all their faults, for all their flaws, and all their warts, everybody is pulling in the same direction. There is everyone's 100% behind Kyle Shanahan, and they're all, on board. The Eagles, it seems like there's some fracturing there. And that's why, again, I say if the Niners get off to a hot start, maybe those cracks start to show a little bit.
Yeah, it's like the Eagles can only hire good coordinators every other year.
Right.
But I mean, it's so weird to me that these quarterbacks who have been in the league for a while now, right? It's not like Hurts is super young. He's a Super Bowl MVP. He's been to multiple Super Bowls. You can't have a say in your offense and say, hey, this has been working a lot. Can we do this? Like him just being like, yeah, I'm just laying down. I'm doing what he's asking. Whatever. I'm just doing my best of what's been given. Why doesn't he have more say? That's just what confuses me. Are you not talking to your OC, telling him what's worked? Like, I know you might come off as like a hard player to play with, and maybe he wants to be coachable. I don't know, but that seems silly to me.
It just seems like a weird, whenever you give the kind of like, hey, I just do what I'm told, I just work here kind of an answer, like that's just not a good sign. Somebody tweeted this. Johnny Tremaine said, in odd year seasons, the Eagles are 0-2 in the playoffs with a negative 39 point differential, and they've been outscored by opponents on average of 19.5 points. No one score games. Excuse me. It is 2025 season. I know it's 2026 now, but it's the 2025 season. Maybe that rears its head again.
Yeah, maybe. Now the Eagles are 5-0 at home in the playoffs under Nick Sirianni. If this was in San Francisco, I'd feel so much better. I really would. Now, were you hoping that the 49ers played at Chicago instead of Philadelphia?
Yes, but only because I literally just saw them beat Chicago, and I saw that offense just kick ass against them. So, of course you would feel better. Would I rather go up against that Bears defense or up against a Vic Fangio defense? Like, no, definitely Chicago, but not because I was like terrified of the Eagles, just more I felt comfortable going against Chicago.
It's so crazy that the Eagles just had to beat the Commanders to be the second seed with Josh Johnson back there for the Commanders, because the Bears ended up losing and then they just didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's weird too, because now if the Packers beat the Bears, which they very much could, clearly they split this year, division game, anything can happen. But because the Packers are the lower seed, they would face Seattle next week because the Seahawks get the lowest remaining seed. So if the Niners somehow won, they wouldn't have to face the Seahawks in the divisional round if the Packers also win.
Yeah, it's going to be Rams. It's going to be Rams, 49ers, Seahawks, Packers.
You're picking the 49ers to win this game?
Uh-huh. I am.
Really? You said that like no hesitation. Like, yeah, obviously.
I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be ugly. I don't think it's going to be fun to watch, but I think they end up winning.
The Eagles turn every game into a rock fight for sure. That's one thing about Philly. They're not going to get flustered. Like, they live in these ugly kind of games. Now, the crowd could turn on them. We've seen that certainly with Philly crowds, but like, we're not going to be like, oh, Jalen Hurts looks shook.
Wait, I just had a thought. Oh my goodness. It just totally disappeared from me.
It happened.
Oh, I wanted to ask you. Okay, so I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering correctly, in week 18, they won the coin toss and they deferred.
I think that sounds correct.
Don't do that, 49ers.
I agree.
Please. Your defense sucks. You're going to allow a touchdown on the first drive. You are, because mostly offenses are the best on their first drive with their scripted plays. And it's very likely to score on your first drive. And when your defense is not great, you're probably going to allow a score or field goal, right? You do that first. You have to get up first. I was so mad when they didn't take the ball in week 18.
Well, we've talked about it for a while. They should always take the ball. I know that Kyle likes the whole like double them up before halftime, and I get that, but so much has to happen and line up for that to occur. You don't know if that's going to occur, right? Who knows what happens? Who knows? What if you're up 2 scores already? Like I just would rather you put the game in the hands of your best unit, which is your offense. Give them the ball first. Even if you only score a field goal on the opening drive, you put yourself in a position to where if the other team scores, you get the ball back with a chance to take the lead or tie, obviously. Mm-hmm. That's the world that you want to live in. You never want to be in a position in this game where even if you score a touchdown, you're still losing. I don't think that you're going to live well if you live in that world.
No, it's not going to feel great, especially considering this Eagles defense is really good. They have really good corners. And like I said, they're getting back Jalen Carter. It seems like the Eagles are going to come in pretty healthy too, because even on the offense, they're getting back Lane Johnson, right? And Lane Johnson is to the Eagles who Trent Williams is to the 49ers. Mm-hmm. Like they're a better team and they win a lot more games when they have Lane Johnson there. So will the 49ers have anyone to throw to at wide receiver outside of Juwan Jennings? Because Juwan Jennings, I don't think, is beating up Quinyon Mitchell out there. Like, I just don't see that happening.
Well, Ricky Pearsall didn't practice yesterday. He was in a jersey. He was running. Here's the thing. At this point, even if he plays, what is he going to be able to do? How effective is he going to be able to be? That's the scary part. And people need to realize, too, with Ricky, I made a video on this earlier in the week. This is not a pain tolerance thing, because people are like, oh, Juwan Jennings played through broken ribs. That's not what this is. This is a knee stability issue. It's not, well, he just isn't tough. It's like, no, his knee won't be able to support him running and decelerating and making cuts. Like, that's what the issue is. Remember, Christian McCaffrey had this injury a couple years ago, and they shut him down because the season was over. Ricky Pearsall's been trying to play through this, and he's been really battling it. Even if he goes, I don't know how effective he's going to be. And that is the scariest part of this game, because
maybe you just put him out there, though, and be like, yeah, he's healthy. He's healthy enough. Quinyon, go guard him. And then let, Juwan Jennings have some more room.
We've seen what it's like for this offense when guys can't separate. Brock holds the ball. It leads to sacks. It leads to pressure, or it leads to him having to throw the ball into super tight windows because there's no separation. And that's when you get turnovers, and that's when things can start to snowball. So it's going to be fascinating to me what kind of game plan Kyle comes up with. How can you create some space? Last week, they played the game in the phone booth. The Seahawks were like, nobody's running past us. We know you're throwing in the middle of the field. Everybody in the middle of the field, everybody 10 yards and in on the line of scrimmage. And good luck to them. If they beat us over the top, they beat us over the top. And the Niners never even tried. I don't know the longest pass attempt in the game, but was it over 20 yards? I don't think it was.
That offense was just so brutal in that game. Yeah, it didn't feel like they were taking any shots. They need to use Kittle deeper down the field. Like, I get it. He was coming off an ankle injury. Hopefully he's better this week. Now I wish they just gave him the week off, now that we know the outcome of the game.
Wow, yeah.
But they need Kittle to be healthy is really what it comes down to. Kittle and Trent Williams are the two guys I'm most worried about. If Ricky Pearsall has to sit, he has to sit. I don't, like you said, we don't expect him to do too much anyways if he does play. And then Christian McCaffrey has to have a game. And it can't be the 8 carries he got last week, right? Like, feed the man. He needs to have a game. And if CMC doesn't have like 120 scrimmage yards in this game and at least 1 touchdown, I don't think the 49ers win.
He talked about, wanting to make up for that drop. It is a drop, actually, that led to the interception. Yeah. He's obviously going to want to come out and have something to prove. I do think there's also a little like, hey, I'm going up against Saquon Barkley. Like there's a little rivalry there. Saquon talked about it, how like he wants to do better than Christian McCaffrey. They know each other. They've worked out together, all that stuff. They need Christian. I mean, this whole season has been about wringing every drop of production out of number 23 that they could possibly get. And also, like, I just want to be honest here. You're probably not getting a full season out of Christian McCaffrey next year because of all the punishment he's taken this year. So for one more time, let's hop on his back and let's see what he's got.
Yeah, I mean, he already has over 400 touches this year, 413, and we're just getting into the playoffs. So if they end up making a run here, his body is going to have lots of touches on him. Now, this will be only the fourth playoff matchup all time between the last two offensive players of the year winners. And it'll be the first time it'll be between two running backs. The last time the two guys have faced each other, the two last offensive player of the years in the playoff game, it was the 1997 Super Bowl between Terrell Davis and Brett Favre.
Damn, throwback.
Yeah. Fun times.
Shout out to running backs, man.
Yeah.
Love me some good running backs. A couple other things I think that work in the 49ers' favor. You know, because I've heard, Kyle against Fangio, and that's not great. Kyle exercised the Jim Schwartz demons this year. What if he also exercises the Vic Fangio demons, especially now that he has a real quarterback facing Vic Fangio and not John Beck or Robert Griffin III or Nick Mullins or Jimmy Garoppolo? You've got a real guy there. You know, there were guys open on some of the plays last week. Unfortunately, the Niners' pass protection didn't hold up, but it wasn't like no one was ever open for Brock to throw the ball to. So Kyle knows how to get guys open. The question, I think, is just going to be whether or not Brock has time to actually see them and get the ball to them.
Do you think the 49ers win that game last week if CMC doesn't drop the ball into an interception?
Maybe. That's the thing. Like, it changes everything completely. I wouldn't rule it out. I can't, say definitely they do because, that's the Niners offense basically did nothing. That was the only time all game they got even inside the Seahawks 30-yard line.
I think that moment, though, just deflated, it was just like, all right, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen today.
Yeah, that was exactly my thought when it happened. It was just like, it's not our day.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't always feel like that. Like when Brock threw the pick 6 against the Bears on the first play, I was like, that sucks. But I don't know. I was just like, all right, we'll get it, like we'll come back from this. But when that Christian McCaffrey play happened, I was like, ugh.
Yeah. It was game over at that point. That I was like, all right, it's not going to happen for them today.
But you know what? That's the one for them to lose, right? As bummed as we were, it wasn't a playoff game. This is a playoff game. Brock said it himself. Our season is on the line this week. I feel like the team is in a good mindset. I don't feel like they're bummed. I mean, they talked about how they, of course, would have preferred to be at home, but I feel like they've turned the page on that. Clay Kubiak said the offense was pissed off a little bit. I hope they go out and show it.
Listen, after a dud like that, I would love, and this happens quite often, right? You can put up a 0 or 3 points, and next week you come out and you put up 30 points. And now sometimes it can be the opposite too, right? You can put up a monster game and then all of a sudden you can't score. Kind of like the 49ers this last week when they were on a roll and then all of a sudden they couldn't do anything. But I'm much happier, I think, that they lost in that kind of game than it being a really high scoring offensive game, but them still losing and us being really down on the defense coming into this. Like, all right, offense messed up, but I have way more trust the offense can fix their issues than the defense can.
Yes. But, it could be a game like we saw last week where I don't think anyone that watched that game was like, the Niners defense is good or the Niners defense had a good game. But also Seattle only put up 13 points. It was a very, very weird game. Maybe you get that kind of game this week from the 49ers defense where it's like, God, these guys are so frustrating and it's infuriating, but maybe the Eagles can't convert a 4th down in the red zone or they miss field goals and the Niners get stops that way.
The 49ers do not have a defensive line to stop the tush push. They do not. So it's anytime it gets to 3rd and 2 or less, it's going to be a 1st down because they can do 2 tush pushes and that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do, especially since this will probably be eliminated or illegal next year, right? I think they'll officially vote that out. But so it's really like you're playing at 1st and 8 every single down. You're starting at 1st and 8.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Robert Saleh, who was like, they're really good at it. Why ban it? I've never been a ban the tush push
Oh,
guy.
yeah, I don't think you should ban it, but I do think it gets banned after this year, especially with the way the Eagles started this season. They were doing it nonstop. I was like, "You're trying to get this banned."
Which, you know what? Like, I kind of respect a little bit. Like, they tried to get it banned. You couldn't get it done. Now, bleep you. We're going to do it over and over again.
Yeah, so I think they do it a ton in this game, and the 49ers do not have the personnel to stop it.
Twitch83, who's watching on YouTube and not on Twitch, ironically. Thank you for the super chat. Says Kyle regressed last week, not going for it on 4th and short. He needs to be more aggressive on Sunday. Best show of the week. Bang, bang. Thank you for that. I agree. I have said that this should be a kitchen sink game. Not only should he be aggressive on 4th down, maybe some trick plays, a punt fake. They've never run a single punt fake in 9 years that Kyle Shanahan has been the head coach. You've got him right where you want him, Kyle. You got a decade of building up a false sense of security. Let's see it.
Especially since like Sky Moore is out there for your special teams. You could do something with him as a receiver, right? I mean, he is a second round drafted receiver. He has the hands. I don't know why he couldn't make it in the league at all as a wide receiver, but do something with him. He's so fast. Like do a trick play.
Here's a Sky Moore. Do something with Sky Moore.
Yeah.
He might be a guy too that you do run down the field and chuck a bomb to. Like, just make them have to think about it. I went back and checked while we were talking. Brock did not have a pass attempt over 20 yards last week. Maybe first possession. Bleep it. Just do it. Even if it's not complete. Hell, maybe you get a pass interference penalty. Who knows? And if it's intercepted, maybe it's an arm punt and you live with it. Like, I just feel like you want to at least have that on their brains. And maybe it's a situation where you do it early. If it doesn't work, whatever. But then later in the game, you're able to use that to your advantage because they think, oh, you know what? They're gonna line Sky Moore up and go deep again here, and maybe that opens up something for somebody. I just think that there are too many benefits and almost no downsides.
First play of the game, play action, throw it deep. I love it.
That was the old Andy Reid. That's what he used to do when he was the coach of the Eagles. They used to love to do that with Deshaun Jackson. And it was like, let's let her rip. I remember that.
Deshaun Jackson is the man.
That Michael Vick play, I think it was on Monday Night Football where God, for all his flaws, that dude, his arm was unbelievable. He just flicks his wrist and throws it like 70 yards downfield and hits Jackson perfectly in stride. And he like backpedals into the end zone. Oh, man.
Or, sometimes he didn't get into the end zone because he liked to celebrate a little early.
Yeah. Maybe can we get one of those from an Eagles player? That's what we need.
Listen, AJ Brown is, I feel like he's that type of personality that could do it.
Just get AJ Brown. Somebody bring AJ Brown a really good book in the pregame, and maybe he'll just read it on the sidelines and he'll get distracted. That's what we need.
AJ Brown typically in the playoffs with this Eagles team, he does nothing, but Ken Lenore and the secondary and the safeties actually, like AJ Brown's still an amazing player, right? And he can put up numbers when he wants to. Devonta Smith, still an amazing route runner. They don't use him enough, in my opinion, but he is he could be a wide receiver 1 on most teams in the league, and he just gets to play across from AJ Brown. So they just don't. And Goddard's a really good receiving tight end, so they have the skill players to do it. And I think Jalen Hurts is actually a very good quarterback. I've always liked him. It just comes down to they have the play caller this year, and it doesn't seem like it. So please don't get your crap together this week, please, and get going.
That's what you need. You need them to continue to be less than the sum of their parts. And that's what their offense has been this year. By definition, it's amazing that they're 24th in yards. Like, it seems like it would be so hard to be that bad with the collection of people they have and their offensive line. But here we are.
It's the fewest total yards per game by a team with 11 plus wins in a season since the 2011 49ers.
That was not a good offensive team for them. That was the Jim Harbaugh 49ers. That was the first year they were coming off the lockout, so they basically had no offseason. That offense was Frank Gore and Vernon Davis and like a couple.
They made the NFC Championship though, so
yeah. Well, when you have Aldon Smith and Justin Smith on the other side, oh man. I was thinking about it today. If I could have one player from the Harbaugh defenses, and it's tricky because you've got Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman, but I think I would take Aldon Smith.
Aldon Smith, very, very fast.
Oh my God. Trent Williams and Joe Staley both said he's the toughest guy they've ever faced. Give me 19 and a half sack Alden Smith on this. God, they could use him. Whew, okay. I don't want to get too down that road because that's just depressing. Speaking of depressing, Michelle, our picks last week.
Well, when you score 3 points and we always take overs or mores, that's an issue.
They let's just say they were bad. We got one pick right out of all of our picks last week. We made 9. We got 1 right, and I took Bryce Huff to have less than half a sack. Ding, 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 ding. Easiest bet in the world to make. Easiest pick in the world to make. We're sorry. Blame the 49ers. It's never our fault, right? It's always the 49ers' fault.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. We weren't out there playing.
Right, exactly.
Before we get into these real quick, can we talk about the sack issue? Like, teams that go into a playoffs with 20 or fewer sacks, they don't win a playoff game. So, like, ever.
This is the year that we're due. That's what you're telling me, right? It's comical. I mean, they can't do it. Like, they're just bad at it. They can't do it so much to the point where I don't even think they should try because it doesn't work. And if you blitz guys, you don't get home anyway, and then you just leave more opportunities in coverage. It's bad. It is so bad. It is so frustrating. But this is the world in which we live. We're going to be better with the picks this week. I promise you we'll be better. And we're going to do it with Sleeper. We make all our picks with Sleeper. You should too. Please go and check it out. Download the app. You'll see for yourself. If you sign up, you'll get a free $20 entry. All you got to do is pick higher or lower on all different statistical categories. And if you get your picks right, you could win up to 1,000 times your money with Sleeper. Normally, we are not as bad as we were last week. In fact, the week before with the Bears, we got all the picks correct. So, let's look at last week as the aberration that it was. But please go and check it out. You can see on the app they have news. There is the news of the Dolphins hiring their new GM, which is going to be John Eric Sullivan from the Green Bay Packers. I have no idea if that's a good pick or not. There's fantasy, obviously not just for NFL, but for all sports. And, of course, the pick 'em as we like to do. If you want to deposit money, if you use our code GSP, you can get up to a $100 match on your first deposit, again, with our code GSP. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states, so check out Sleeper today. All right, Michelle, I am the only one that got a pick correct last week, so I am going to take the first pick today. Do you have a problem with that?
No, go ahead. I'll just jump on yours if it was one of mine.
Okay. I am going to, it's going to count for 2 picks, but it's really a combo pick.
Okay.
Longest completion in the game. I'm going to take Brock Purdy's longest completion to be less than 36.5 yards.
Okay.
And I'm going to take Jalen Hurts' longest completion to be more than 34.5 yards. Jalen Hurts is better throwing deeper down the field. We know the Eagles receivers are great. We know the Niners secondary has had their problems on deep passes. So I think that's why I'm going to side with Jalen. And with Brock, he doesn't throw it deep, or he didn't last week. The Niners do not have anyone really that you trust to take a short pass and turn it into a long completion. So the combination of those 2 things, I think both of those picks are going to hit.
Yeah, you said 36.5?
36.5 for Brock, yes.
That's pretty long. I mean, that's a long pass for anyone to complete in a game. So, yeah, I feel like the probability's on your side there. I'm not going to join it because I want the first play of the game to be a bum. Now I'm just holding on to that. But I see your point. You're going risky right off the bat.
I think it's like the lead. I was so comfortable when I saw it. Like, there's no way Brock's going to have a pass that long. And I think Jalen, he'll chuck one up there. And maybe the Eagles do the old Andy Reid thing. But I think that they're going to get one. Or maybe they hit somebody and it's a catch and run situation. The Niners did miss 18 tackles last week. So I'm going to take both of those.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's fair. I'm going to go with a safer one. I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley. More than 18.5 rushing attempts the last 4 weeks. He's had 20, 22, 21, 19, averaging 20.5 carries per week. He's averaging 100 rushing yards per week. His average is up in efficiency. We just saw the Seahawks in week 18 have 39 carries against the 49ers and do pretty well. So I think they're going to at least give Barkley his 20 carries this week.
It's fair. Although as Jason Aponte pointed out, like, when have the Eagles ever done the smart thing and just give the ball to Saquon Barkley and just like do the thing that they should do? So it's hard to make picks for the Eagles, I feel like, because like you can't trust them. Eagles fans don't trust them. I was just on the radio in Philadelphia before the show came on. They don't trust this offense. They are saying the same things we are saying, where like, yeah, they should be better, but they're not. So it's hard to make picks based on that offense, but I think that is the safest of the picks on the Eagles offense that you could have made, other than mine, of course.
Now, I will say, does this make you worried at all? Purdy has had a pass completed of over 36.5 passing yards in 2 of the last 4 games.
No, because the defenses that they have played, they're not playing the Bears defense. So the Eagles defense, I don't know if it's going to allow it. The Seahawks defense obviously didn't allow it. Those are the 2 picks I feel most comfortable with.
Okay.
All right. Next up for me, I am going to take Sam Okuanu, less than half a sack. It's the easiest bet of all time. How's he going to do it? How is he going to? Jalen Hurts could fall down in the pocket and get back up and still not get sacked. Hurts mobility with the Eagles offensive line and the Niners lack of pass rush. I feel like this is just taking candy from a baby.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I like that. He would have to get incredibly lucky to get the sack. It would have to be literally that Hurts fumbles the ball and has to just lay down on it, and then he gets to just touch him. That would be the way he got the sack.
Right. Or it could be like Hurts gets stepped on by the offensive line and Sam O is just the guy that touches him when he's on the ground. But like even then, I don't know. And I don't like this because I obviously want the 49ers to have a great pass rush, but we're talking about my money here. And when it comes to my money, I just got to bet on safe things. I got to pick safe things to happen. So I would take anybody, by the way. This is not a Sam O criticism. He's the one that's on the board. If it was Bryce Huff, if it was Alfred Collins.
Isn't that so sad that he's the one that's on the board?
Terrible. It's terrible.
Oh,
that's so where bad. They are. That's the world in which we live, Michelle.
So bad. All right. I'm going Brock Purdy, more 18.5 rushing yards.
Say that again.
Brock Purdy, more than 18.5 rushing yards. Ooh. He's had over 20 rushing yards in 3 of the last 4 weeks, 44, 28, and 21. Now in the Indy game, he just had 11, but 3 of the last 4 weeks, he's hit it. 8 quarterbacks has had at least 20 rushing yards against the Eagles this season, including Mahomes and Herbert at 66 rushing yards apiece. Jackson Dart had 58, Josh Johnson 45, Carson Wentz and Jordan Love each had 28 rushing yards against the Eagles. Those are not rushing quarterbacks. Josh Allen is, but he didn't have a huge day, just 27 rushing yards, and then Bo Nix 22. So those 8 guys all did it. Purdy's been doing it. I think he's going to have to run away from this pass rush. And I think Purdy is going to be scrambling and running for his life a few times in this game.
He's going to have opportunities. I think what he needs to do in this game that sometimes he doesn't always do, usually when he scrambles, he's looking to throw. Like he does not want to run the ball down the field. He'll do it, but that's not his first instinct. With this week, I think it might have to be. I think it might be look for a couple of guys, but if the pressure is there, don't like try and move a little and then be like, oh, okay, now I'm going to take off and run. Like the Eagles are so fast and so athletic on defense that Brock is fast enough, but only if he decides right away to go. He can't hesitate. You just have to let it rip. Take the runs. I don't think that he's going to be gashing them for 15, 20-yard runs, but if he can pick up 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, and just turn a potential sack into a 4-yard gain, that is huge in the game. And I think he did that in the Cleveland game because they were very concerned about Myles Garrett. I think he needs to do it this week as well. I thought about taking that one. I didn't ultimately, but I understand completely why you did it. Plus, they've been throwing in a couple RPOs for him, a couple read option plays. He might be able to steal some yards that way. I wouldn't be shocked if they did get down in the red zone to see him try and use his legs a little bit. So I completely understand where you're coming from with that pick.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Do I want to take... There's 2 more that I wrote down. I wrote down, this one. I'm sorry. This one was obvious. I forgot about this one. Dallas Goedert, anytime touchdown. The Niners stink against tight ends. They've allowed 10 receiving touchdowns to tight ends this year. The linebackers in this game are Eric Kendricks and me, I think. I mean, Kazir White signed this week. He might play. He's off the street. Does he know the defense? Does he know the play? Whatever. Get in there, dude. We need you. Like, Dallas Goedert's going to be able to take advantage of that. He's had his 11 touchdowns this year. I think that's second most in the entire league, second to Devontae Adams, I want to say. That sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
If I made it up, it sounds good enough. And 10 of his 11 touchdowns have come in the red zone, too, by the way. So if they get down there, they're throwing to the tight end, Dallas Goedert to score anytime touchdown. And this is the crazy thing. It's at 2.5 times your money.
I do love that. And you're right. It's Goddard's at 11, tied for second most in the league behind only Devontae Adams. Which, by the way, Adams, I feel like hasn't played in forever. So it's wild that he's leading the league by 3 touchdowns.
Because when the Rams get down there, no matter where they are, Stafford's just like Adams. 1 yard line, throw it to Adams. Doesn't matter.
He's unstoppable down there. Yeah, Goddard, I like that. He's probably going to get a touchdown. I like probably what I haven't seen what his yards were. I didn't take it, but Goddard's a good bet this week.
Let me see if I could bring that up really quick. Okay. Receiving yards, Dallas Goedert is at 39.5.
Yeah, I like that.
You take that, or do you want that official?
Well, no, I want the touchdown. I want the touchdown.
Okay, you're going to co-sign with me on the touchdown. Okay, do you have any more?
McCaffrey, I like 2 of his. I like the 18.5 rushing attempts, just like Barkley. I would take both of them with their carries. Week 18, he only had 8 carries. That cannot happen again. But the 5 weeks prior, it was 24, 20, 22, 21, 23. So well over the 18.5. If they're going to win this game, they have to establish the run. I don't care if he's efficient. There's plenty of these games in here where he had 20 carries and the efficiency was not there. I don't care. So run with him. I think he gets his 20 carries this week. And I also think he'll hit his receiving yards, which is pretty high this week. It's 44.5 receiving yards they have on Sleeper. And he has not hit that since week 12. So this is a risky one. But he still had the receptions. He has 6 receptions in 2 of the last 3 weeks. 6+ receptions in 11 of 17 games played this season, 65%, at least 5 receptions in 13 of 17. So I think he's not going to need that many receptions to get the receiving yards because the Eagles are allowing 10.1 yards per reception to running backs this season. Second most in the league behind only the Buccaneers. And in that game, CMC had 57 yards against the Buccaneers earlier this year. They've allowed the 7th most receiving yards to running backs while not allowing that many receptions overall, but their yards per reception is just horrendous. So when they do get targeted, they give it up. So target McCaffrey in this game.
That makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Yes, please. And if Trent is there, maybe you get him out on a screen, especially early in the year. I feel like not as much later, but early in the year, they would get to like the 40 or the 30-yard line and they would run screens, and they had huge success doing that. It was like the perfect call at the right time at the right part of the field, and they would gash teams with it. They've gotten away from it a little bit. Maybe they do it a little more. Do it to Christian McCaffrey. If that's what it's going to take, that's what it's going to take. But you're right. The 8 rushing attempts, what? No, you can't do that. Right. You're taking touches away from Christian McCaffrey for who? Kendrick Bourne? Juwan Jennings? Give me a break.
Yeah. They need to get him his 10 carries in the first half, establish this run. Let's go.
Do we get a Big Dom interaction with a 49ers player on the sideline?
I don't think so. I think he's learned his lesson.
Yeah, that was wild, man. Somebody said if you had to pick a player that would have that issue again this week, who would you pick?
Juwan Jennings.
Juwan or Diamador Lenore are like the 2 options. But I will say this, not related to Big Dom. If it comes down to coach being conservative or aggressive, Nick Sirianni is super conservative. He has really gone into a shell on 4th downs. And Kyle has done the opposite this year. He's gone for it more than he ever has. Maybe that is another thing that works in the Niners' favor. Maybe the Eagles get a little conservative when they shouldn't, and the Niners get a little aggressive. And if it's a close game, sometimes those decisions are what decides it.
For sure. And like you mentioned, Jordan Elliott has not been a good kicker this year. Jake Elliott. Who's Jordan? Jordan Elliott's the DT.
He's the Niners defensive
guy. Yeah. Jake Elliott. He hasn't been a
kicker this year.
Yeah, no, he hasn't. But also, it all comes down to if the 49ers can stop the Eagles from getting in 4th and short, right? They're going to go for it in 4th and short. If they can make it 4th and 4, 4th and 5, then it's a different story. And Sirianni has been playing scared that way.
Another reason for Kyle to be aggressive, the Eagles are very good at blocking field goals. You can't just assume, we're going to kick a field goal, it's going to be fine because Eddie Piñeiro's awesome. No. Philly is awesome at blocking kicks. Another reason field goals could be failures. I keep saying it. I'll live with it until I'm dead in the ground. Field goals are failures, baby. Let it ride. You got nothing to lose. It's house money. This is all the pressures on the Eagles in this game. They're the defending Super Bowl champs. They're the home team. They're the favorite. They're the squad that's healthy. All the pressure is on the Eagles, and I hope the 49ers play like it.
4.5-point favorites. I think it's kind of rude.
It didn't open that. It opened, I think, at 1.5 or 2.5, and it shot up to 4.5.
So people were betting on the Eagles side.
We're like, what? Because they saw the 49ers last week. They saw the defense miss 18 tackles. They saw the offense put up 3 points. Of course, the people were going to pick against the Niners.
Have they not watched the Eagles all year long? It's not like they've been great.
Doesn't matter. Prisoner of the moment. People know the names on the back of the jerseys for the Eagles. Sometimes that's all it takes. Okay, so quick recap. You have Barkley more than 18.5 rush attempts.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Purdy more than 18.5 rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
Christian McCaffrey more than 18.5 rush attempts.
Yes.
And Christian McCaffrey more than 44.5 receiving yards.
Yes.
You want to see people run the hell out of the ball for the most part.
I do. I'm very worried about this passing game against the Eagles.
I am taking Brock Purdy's longest completion less than 36.5 yards. Jalen Hurts' longest completion more than 34.5 yards. So I want passing in this game. Sam Okawanu less than half a sack, and Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown. You've already said you're picking the 49ers to win this game. Are you picking a score?
They're going to win 23-17.
Oh, man, sign me up for that right now. I think the 49ers are going to lose, unfortunately. I think the Eagles are going to score 28 points. I think the 49ers are going to score 13 points.
Whoa, you think they're going to get murdered?
It's going to be a bad one, I think. I hope I'm wrong. God knows I've been wrong many times this year. But, I'm like I said, I try to be as objective as I can. There's a path to victory for the 49ers, but I think this is the Doctor Strange. There's one path to victory for the 49ers. Who knows, though? We have seen Tim Tebow threw an 80-yard touchdown pass in the playoffs to beat your Steelers. God knows we know anything can happen.
Why bring that up? Why hurt me? Now, talking about my Steelers, do you think they'll win against the Texans?
No chance. I think DeMeco Ryans' defense is so good. I think they are good. Aaron Rodgers has no desire to stand in the pocket and get hit. I think DeMeco's defense is going to absolutely shut them down.
Okay. I am insanely confident the Steelers win this week. And I never am about the Steelers. Yeah.
Why?
I just feel it. There's never reasons why. I just know when they're going to win and lose. And they're going to win. And normally I go into a wild card game like, they're going to get their butts kicked by 20 points. And that's normally what happens pretty much every single year. But I feel very strongly that they win this game.
First playoff win for Mike Tomlin since the Obama administration.
Yeah. It's been almost a decade.
Be honest with me.
Mm-hmm.
When Tyler Loop, I think his name is Tyler, when Loop is lining up for that kick against the Ravens, are you hoping it goes through, or are you hoping he misses because you wanted Tomlin out?
Oh, I was hoping he missed so hard. Yeah. No. I mean, what? Who's hoping to lose the game? I was dying. I was defeated, though. I thought they lost. Like when the Isaiah Likely catch happened, I was actually watching the game from outside a window. I couldn't be inside. I was too stressed. So I was watching it outside the house and through a window. And I just sat down outside when Isaiah Likely caught it because I thought the game was over. And then I slowly came inside to watch the stupid field goal, just all defeated. And then when he missed it, I flipped out. No, one of the best games ever as a Steelers fan. But no, I still think if Mike Tomlin loses this wild card round, he could still be out.
Florio was floating the possibility that maybe Tomlin goes to TV or something before the game. I thought that was interesting because I hadn't heard that. Maybe that's a way to get out of the Steelers don't fire anybody, but Mike Tomlin's just taking a job in TV. So he's not really fired. Because I think the Steelers love to point that out. We don't fire coaches and we've only had 3 coaches, as if anybody cares.
No, we don't like that. That means you're okay with mediocrity.
NY.
It's Nicole Bernstein. It's one of my.
Nicole. Yeah, sorry. I sometimes I struggle to read these names. Nicole says stats saying he's going to be super optimistic and then giving that prediction for the score. Yeah, because I think the 49ers can win. There is a path for them to win, but there are more paths for the Eagles to win. So I'm just statistically saying it's more likely that the Eagles win. But I've been telling you that anything can happen.
But it's not that you're just saying the Eagles are going to win. You're saying they're going to get they're going to dominate. I mean, your score pick was 28-13.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, like the Eagles are a better team, but the better team doesn't always win. If they did, the Niners would have 3 more Super Bowls, and they don't, sadly. That is going to do it for this edition of the show. Please like this video. Subscribe to the Gold Standard Podcast Network. We're live every single weekday. We're live after every single game. Good, bad, or ugly, breaking it down. If you want more Michelle, you can check out the Locked On Fantasy podcast, or you can check out The Analyst in the Armchair, which is Michelle's podcast. It's available on YouTube, and it's available everywhere you get your audio podcasts. I know how to do the thing.
You're doing great. You're a great host.
Oh, shut up. But thank you, everybody. Enjoy the game. Please join us after the game, like I said. Hopefully, we're recapping a win, but we'll be there, good, bad, or ugly. And have a good weekend, Michelle.
You too. Bye, y'all.